So we think 4% today.
Yeah, so this time last year, interest rates were well below 1%. They were at emergency levels during the COVID lockdown. They'd been below 1% actually for quite a few years, never really fully recovered after the global financial crisis of 2008. And now we're expecting the 10th interest rate rise in a row. Why are they going up? Because the Bank of England, having been late to the party, being late to cotton on that inflation was really coming to the fore, is now bearing down on inflation. And inflation's come down from over 11 now to just over 10%. I think most people would suggest that inflation has peaked. That means that interest rates could peak quite soon. I've been predicting for some months a peak of 4.25%, so that would mean one more rise after today. And we talk about Rishi Sunak, it could be that towards the end of the year, inflation's well down and interest rates are coming down too. And in the end, your political future depends, as a US election advisor once said, on the economy, stupid. And if the economy turns round, it strikes me that a lot of these sleaze allegations and the domination of politics by these kind of headlines will melt away. Elections are won in purses and pocketbooks.
Yeah, and so what will people's purses and pockets look like with 4% interest rates?
Well, if you're a saver, that's good news. Savings rate that you get from a bank will still be below the rate of inflation, so you'll still actually lose money in real terms on your savings, but not as much. And, of course, you'll pay more if you've got a variable rate mortgage. What I would say is if you are coming off a variable rate and looking to fix your mortgage, I'd wait a few months because as rates peak, once they start coming down again, that's the time to fix your mortgage, not when we think that there may be a few more interest rate rises in the can, if you like. I mean, on Rishi Sunak, I'd say the guy's only been an MP since 2015. He is experienced, I agree, accelerated very fast up the greasy pole, if you like. But on the other hand, he hasn't been around all that long. And I talk to a lot of Conservative backbenchers. It's not so much Liz Truss herself that they want back, but they want some of the policies that she represents back. The Prime Minister, the Chancellor, they're coming under huge pressure to not raise taxes anymore and even quite soon cut taxes from their current 70-year high. So it strikes me that we're now in the run-up to this spring budget in March, March the 15th, just before Paddy's Day, Eamon. Yeah. And I think in the run-up to that, there's going to be a huge amount of rows about tax policy.
Is that what you're hearing, Leon? Do you think there is tension perhaps within even the Cabinet on what the budget should contain, not least in light of the IMF report this week, but also, you know, how we're doing with inflation, which, of course, is their big target to halve it by the end of the year?
Of course it is. And you can't go into an election with an economy looking with all the sort of headlights flashing in front of you. We need to have some shoots of growth coming through. We need to see a long-term vision, really, as to what Rishi Sunak and the Conservatives under his leadership plan for how this country looks, and then what that means for, yes, our pockets, but also for public services and all the things that we rely on that are currently being underinvested because of the state of national finances.
And he tried to do that, didn't he, in his speech at the beginning of the year, and that was widely seen as a bit of a flop because the main headline was extending maths into A-levels. And, you know, what does he stand for? What will his legacy be? Will his legacy just be sort of managed decline?
Well, he's a firefighter at the moment. He just seems to be managing crisis after crisis. And, you know, he is a Conservative who believes in a small state and low taxes, but he's not being given the economic headroom to actually deliver on that. And we saw when Liz Truss tried to, how the markets reacted. But as time goes on, there is going to be a clamour both from right-wing MPs who want to see lower taxes, who want to see that going for growth, as well as from the public who want to see the economy improve.
But in the short term, and when that announcement comes at noon today, for people who are feeling the cost of living crisis, for people who are striking and saying they just haven't got enough in their pay packet, it's going to get worse.
I think interest rates will go up again after today, that's right. One thing I'd say on those green shoots, you know, that IMF report that Isabel mentioned, that was extremely gloomy. I'd say that was actually behind the curve. It very much took its cue from a bunch of Bank of England forecasts a few weeks ago that were very, very gloomy. I think the Bank of England today is going to have to change its tune on growth.
What about change its governor?
Well, we've talked a lot about Andrew Bailey. I do think he's been way behind the curve on inflation, and I do think the latest set of Bank of England forecasts were too gloomy. When the interest rate decision is made today, there will also be a new set of forecasts, and I suspect they won't be nearly as downbeat as the IMF was. But, you know, we live in hope.
Yeah, forecasts are just that, aren't they? At the end
they're
of
not
the day?
destiny.
Exactly. All right, thank you so much,
see you later.
Liam,
Thank
and
you
thank
very
you to
much
you, Leon
indeed.
Emirali.